Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Five Star Revolution podcast. I am your host, CJ Price, and tonight we have a very special guest from OVW Ohio Valley Wrestling. It's Reverend Ronnie Roberts.
Yay, man. Yay, man. Pleasure to be here, CJ. Looking forward to chopping it up with you. Having some technical difficulties, but hopefully we got it squared away now.
We definitely got it squared away now, sir. It's all
That's
good to
what's up.
go.
That's what's up. Let's get it. I'm
So,
actually in the car. I'll put it out there. I'm in the car. I hadn't been home since last Tuesday. I got home last night. I'm going to take my kids to the fair before I have to leave and get on the road again.
so my first question is, what's your most first memory of professional wrestling?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite subjects. 'Cause it reminds me of my great grandmother. She's an avid wrestling fan. Wrestling, it runs in my family, and I'm 3 years old, and I'm sitting on the couch in front of her, and she's laying on the couch behind me. She's got an old school oxygen tank, and oxygen lines in her nose, and four horsemen come out, start beating up Ric Flair, and she loses. She's hot, she's mad, she's cussing at the TV. She takes her house shoe off and throws it at the TV. Oh, that Ric Flair's dirty. Oh, somebody get in there and stop it. There goes the other house shoe. And I'm just sitting there like, whoa. I enjoy wrestling and secretly a big fan of the Four Horsemen, but I wasn't gonna say anything because I probably would have got a whooping with a switch or something just for cheering for the Horsemen and Flair. But that's one of my earliest memories of wrestling is watching wrestling uh, with my great grandmother. She got so into it, and it's been a family affair. My grandmother was a big fan of it. She got so into it when I got older. She just told me I can't watch it anymore. I can't. I got to go. She would leave the room. She would leave the room, and my mother was a huge fan. She would take me when I was younger, and even before I was born, go to wrestling. She'd say she'd start in the nosebleed seats, and by the time she got a few drinks in her, she'd end up front row and center. And oddly enough, she's lost a shoe because she done thrown it in the ring, and it just it just moved down to so nobody in my family is shocked that I'm a professional wrestler, especially my brother and sister, because I practiced a lot on my little brother and my little sister.
So how did you get into it? How did you get into the business?
Well, um, kind of by accident. When I wanted to get into the business, I wanted to get in right after high school, but back then there was no such thing as Google, and the internet was just now starting to pop off. So it wasn't so easy. It's easy today. You show up with some boots and Google a place, and there's probably five places within 50 miles of you today. But back then I had no idea, no clue how to get in the business. Wanted it real bad, but didn't know. So I just kind of went about my life and did some things. But eventually I ended up back in America, and I'm working at Toyota, the Toyota plant in Georgetown, Kentucky. And my buddy and I are just talking wrestling nonstop all day, every day, to the point that some people were just sick of it. And
Hmm.
our line leader or whatever came through, and he's like, you know what? I think I know somebody who can probably get you all started, and we're not thinking much of it. Yeah, sure, go ahead. And lo and behold, he knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and he introduced us, and there it was from there.
So who did you initially start training with?
I signed a contract to train under Johnny Bad, was his name. He's a local wrestler in Kentucky. Um, he ran a promotion in Cynthiana, Kentucky, and he brought us in, and I guess he took a look at us. And my buddy had some good size on him, and me, I had some good height, and I'm an athlete and looked the part, especially back then. And I saw it in his eyes. He was like, "Oh yeah, I got me a couple here." So he offered to train us up, and the person who was doing the in-ring training for him at the time was Impact Wrestling legendary Larry D. So I got started with them, and did Larry D showed me my basics, all the stuff, all the basic stuff, bumping, hitting the ropes, all that good stuff, locking up, all the basic stuff. I learned that from Larry, and just went on from there.
And do you remember your first show? And if you do, what did you remember from that match?
Oh, I remember it very well. I remember my first show being like a trainee and doing security. Um, that was the first time I had ever been so close to the wrestling ring. I remember that, and that was awesome. And I'm watching these guys get in there. There were, at that particular show in Indiana, there was some really good wrestlers, and I'm just watching this kid chomping at the bit, couldn't wait to get in the ring. And then my very first match did not live up to those same expectations. However, my very first match was against Johnny Bad, who was my trainer, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I felt like I was ready, but I felt like the match was just awful. It was the drizzling, you know what, as they say in the business. And I wasn't very happy about it, but it did motivate me. And from there on out, I started having some pretty decent matches for a guy who hadn't been in very long.
So how long you been in the business now?
I've been over a decade now. I think I'm in year 11, maybe. I think I'm in year 11.
So from year 1 to year 11, what would you say to that year 1 Ronnie Roberts?
Stop working so hard. Stop. Not get me wrong. When you work hard, when you're working out and you want to get in shape and all that stuff. I mean, I worked too hard in the ring without getting the proper response and results from it. Where had I worked a little bit less and done some other small things better, it would have been helpful. I would have perhaps gotten over a lot quicker, or maybe progressed a lot quicker in the business than what I was, and not be afraid to leave and go out and go other places. Originally, the first place I was, they were kind of salty when I decided to go work somewhere else, and I was trying to be a loyal guy and all that. They gave me my first match and all this, and they set me up. I had tons of matches. That's what set me apart from a lot of guys. A lot of guys they don't get a lot of matches when they first start. Me, I had tons of matches starting out. So they gave me that opportunity, and I guess they expected me just to stick around and be a lifer there, but that's not how you grow, and that's not how you get better. So I wish that I would have branched out sooner, and I wish that I would have. It takes, and we all do this. I wish I wouldn't have banged my head going out there trying to be such a great in-ring wrestler. There are easier ways to go about it, as perhaps if you've seen me lately, you may know what I'm speaking of.
What's one lesson as a professional wrestler that you carry on in your personal life?
You say what lesson?
Yes.
Well, I guess.
Oh no.
It's more not to sound cliche, perhaps this is everyone's answer, but you get what you put into it. You reap what you sow, if you will. If you want to go out here and you want to be good, you got to put in the time. You got to train. You got to practice. You got to train your body and your mind. And that's with anything, whether it's wrestling, whether you want to be the best at the fry station. If you're working at McDonald's, I don't care if you want to be the best pimp in the world. I don't care what it is, best father, whatever it is you want to do, you must put in the time. You must take the time to learn your craft, and you must practice it over and over and over and over again until it becomes second nature and it becomes a part of you. Once you do that, no matter what it is you want to do, you are going to be successful at it because you've put in the work, you've put in the time, you've put in the practice. You've sown the seeds, if you will, in order to reap the good result later on down the line. Reaping and sowing is all throughout life. A biblical concept, yes, but it is real. No matter if you believe in the Bible or not, that concept will take you wherever you need to go.
So I'm assuming you played heel and face in your career. What is your favorite to play, heel or face?
I've learned that I just go be me and let the people decide. But I've spent the majority of my career, I've spent probably being the quote unquote bad guy. And it is a lot of fun. However, right now I'm neutral. Right now I am really enjoying my run as a fan favorite. I think I finally figured out what it means to be a fan favorite. I've done it before. However, now it's part of me. Now I don't feel like I'm working so hard to do it. Now it's very natural. I've naturally been probably a heel most of my career, and probably some people that come in, they're naturally one way or the other. I was probably naturally a heel. Probably still am. However, I'm a little too entertaining these days, so people tend to gravitate towards me and like what I do, as opposed to boo me and such. So now I don't worry about it. I keep it real. I just go out there. I go do my thing. I let the people decide what they want. Most of the time, I don't like it.
Now, for those who don't know about Ronnie Roberts, can you explain a little bit about your character and what it's about?
Oh, let's see. What you got to understand is it's not so much of a character. I don't go out there and it's not like I have a lines. I have to really think about anything. I am me. I am a reverend. I just go out there and be me. Now, who am I? I'm a guy who's all about his business and all about his paper and all about his bread. So I go out there and I spread the good word and I pass the collection plate and try to help people get right on their path with the higher power, with the man upstairs. But mainly, I'm all about going out there winning wrestling matches. For the simple fact is that when I win, I make more money. When I win, I become more popular. People want to buy my t-shirts and buy my. I got church fans and I got pictures and all that kind of stuff. So my whole deal is to go out there and I preach the good word, try to help elevate people and make their lives better, so they too can go ahead and make that dollar as well. That's my whole thing. I say I come from the Church of Divine Economic Spirituality, if you will. And I actually do have a message in there. Mainly, it's about I preach a lot about reaping and sowing, as we were talking about earlier. And so when you sow good seed, you're gonna reap a good reward. So in life, if you want good things to happen to you, you need to do good things. If you do bad things will happen to you. It's going to come. It's going to grow. It might not. It's not a right away thing, but it's gonna come back and get you. And so I feel also the same way financially. So my job, I go out there is be entertaining enough so people hear me. They hear me and maybe they take some of my life lessons and they just simply are just paying me for my time and the lessons that I'm giving to them. So that's me. And some would say that sometimes I go about my business in you know some people would say in not such a good way, like in a wrestling match. I get accused of cheating all the time, and hey, it is what it is. All I know is I'm trying to get to that pay window. That's my main thing. I'm trying to, as Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. So I'm gonna do what I need to do to handle my business, man. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Hey, man, that's a total. I totally agree with that statement. So,
That's that's real. That's me. What you see on TV, that's Ronnie Roberts. That's who I am.
So let's get into a little bit about OVW. For some of your fans that don't know what OVW is, that used to be a proving ground for WWE. Guys like John Cena, Shawn Benjamin, Batista, Randy Orton, guys like that came out of that company. So how did you get into OVW, and how do you feel being a part of that company?
Um, well, first I would say, as far as the stars in the past, you forgot Brock Lesnar. There's pictures on the wall in the locker room of all the guys who's gone through there, and it's just a who's who of wrestling from like the 2000s up to like 2010. It's almost anybody who's anybody in the last 20 years has gone through OVW. So that being in and of itself, lends a little bit of credibility to the product. However, I will say OVW kind of went through a little down period for a little bit, and I'm happy to be there because now I feel like I'm going to be part of the resurgence. I'm going to be a part of, now they're talking about it, and maybe I'm going to be a part of the next John Cena, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, Batista's. Because they kind of, I feel like it kind of fell short last 10 years. OVW wasn't what it used to be. It's been a long time since the John Cena came out of there. It's been a long time since the Batista came up out of there. But if we want to keep it real, I'm not poo-pooing the product because I'm there. But I'm proud to be there and to be able to help set a new standard, to get it back to that standard where everybody's talking. Maybe one day like, hey, Reverend Ronnie Roberts was at OVW. That's where you going? Oh man, now you're on to something. So I'm proud to be there to help put my own stamp on it and help it get back up to the level that it was, because um, even though people still think of it as where, Lesnar and Cena and those guys came from, it's not everybody thinks that way anymore. There's new fans who don't know. So now I want to bring it back up to that level again, where they're like, oh man, Reverend Ronnie Roberts is there, and with Jesse Otters and Cash Flow and the Hood Ninja Jose and all these guys. Um, how I got there was by complete accident. Um, Not my first time at OVW. Earlier in my career, I've been through there a couple of times to come check it out. But I run a training academy in Jeffersonville, Indiana called Grindhouse Pro Wrestling Academy. And during the whole, what we call it, pandemic, the state of Kentucky, where OVW runs in Louisville, Kentucky, was shut down. And obviously they could not run. However, at some point, Indiana opened up before Kentucky did. So the powers that be at OVW came to the building and the arena where I teach and I train and ran shows there. And I guess part of the deal was they were going to use some of my students on the show. And so I guess, if you go somewhere and you see these students here, you probably want to know what the teacher looks like before you even put the students in there. So they asked me to wrestle, and I did. And they must have done a good job because they asked me to keep coming and wrestling. And that's how I got into it. I went in there, I wrestled one match, and I guess I did so well. The next week, I wrestled another match for the OVW heavyweight title. And let me talk on the microphone and everything. It was like, boom. I'm like, okay, I guess I made a good impression the first time. So, and I wasn't, and then, like I was saying, what people had a preconceived notion of what OVW was. I'm one of those guys because I knew that it wasn't where it was in the John Cena and Randy Orton era. So I had no plans on going to OVW. But I will say I met Al Snow, and I excuse me, and I met Doug Basham, and that changed my mind. Both of those guys, their mindsets was exactly what I needed in my career to help me take me further. Because at that point, I was considering doing a whole lot less wrestling and just doing more teaching and training. I kind of felt like I had almost missed the boat to really make it big time or anything like that. So I was content. I love teaching young wrestlers. I love training. But helped me. They helped me stoke the fire again and the passion and got my mind working. And now you see me on OVW TV every week doing my thing. So that's how that got there. Cause I had no intention. I wanted nothing to do with OVW. I was good. I was good. But then as I came there, I saw the rebuilding and I saw that there's something there. There's a nucleus. We got a nucleus there that we have an opportunity to do some big things. So I had to be a part of that once I experienced it. So I stuck around, and now I've been there for how long I've been there. It might be less than a year now. It's coming up on a year, and I'm certainly putting my stamp on OVW, and I'm going to continue to put my stamp on OVW.
So, what would you say is your proudest moment of your career?
It's a good question. Um, Me now, my proudest moments is when I see my students going out and doing their thing. Um, when I see them go out there and they take these lessons that I've taught them, and I see that, proverbial light bulb go off on the top of their head in the middle of their match. That's when I get super proud. I'm almost in tears when I see my young guys come. They go out there and they finally feel that crowd and they get that reaction. I'm like, oh, look at them, they're growing up so fast. Oh my goodness. That makes me super proud. That's the proudest I get these days. Let me think personally. You know, I don't know. I'm not for sure. I guess I can say maybe I'm at my proudest now because I finally, I figured out the next level of wrestling. It's hard to say that I definitely don't know everything. I don't even think I know half of everything in wrestling, but I know quite a bit. And this level that where I am now, I'm proud that I had to set my ego aside to get where I am right now. And how can I explain that? Make that make sense? a lot of my career, I went out there and I just wanted to be the best wrestler in that ring. I wanted to go out there and have the best match every night. I wanted to rock it every night, and you know, with that mindset, and that's how most wrestlers think. And I think that's an ego-driven thing, because I still want to be the best, but it's not so much of a need. I figured out that if I use certain skills that I have, that's gonna propel me to be the best over me going out there banging my head and physically trying to be the best wrestler. Um, so I think between my kids, learning lessons, and me learning my own lessons and setting my ego aside and being able to, accept I don't always have to be in the main event. I'm not always going to have the best match on the card. Um, but once I did that, I started being in more main events, and I started having some of the better segments on the card. It's weird how it happens. I can't understand how that happens exactly. But I think those are my two proudest moments. I know, you were expecting to hear when I won this title and when I went here and did that. That's not what makes me proud anymore. It's the lessons that we learn. It's the growth. Let me put it that way. It's the growth. So watching my kids grow and me growing. So I'm proud of myself for being able to grow, and I'm proud of my kids for buying into what I'm saying, watching some of my growth because I'm teaching them as I'm growing and taking that and running with it and helping them grow even quicker so they can be bigger, better, and get there faster than what I did.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're a trainer and you're a wrestler. What do you enjoy doing most?
Um, that's a toss up. Toss up. I'm very passionate about both. Um, I don't know. I can't pick one. I gotta be pushed on this one. You'll find if you ask me stuff like this, I rarely will pick. Yeah, hey, who's your favorite wrestler? I'm gonna give you five. My five of all time. I can't pick just one. What's your favorite movie? I'm gonna give you 4 or 5. I can't just pick this one. Um, so it's both. When you see some of your kids, if you watch the product Hollywood Haley J, that's my kid. I watch her go out there do her thing now. 2-time OVW Women's Champion. Yeah, since she's like 2-time IWA Women's Champion. She's wrestling all around the country. That makes me proud. You see Clayton Cannon. He just went on OVW TV. He's one of my guys. When I see my young guys getting out there and doing their thing, that really, really makes me proud. So maybe if I had to lean one way, it's toward the training side. But I really like get that microphone and being able to do my thing. Um, and then because that makes it when I actually do and they go in there and wrestle, and I'm not just running my mouth, they, there's already an energy there. The people are already with me because that's my congregation. They're already with me. I don't have to, I don't have to go out there and beat up my body so much to try to get these people to love me because I've already done all the work to do that, if that makes sense. So I guess if I had to pick one, you paint me in a corner, I'll say the training, but it's 51% to 49% because I love getting in front of the congregation. Ha! I love getting them going. Ha! I love when they start repeating the things that I'm saying. Ha! Hey, it gets me riled up right now. Just getting into it. I'm trying not to slide in here and go into full reverend mode on you, but I get excited talking about it because their excitement gets me excited, which gets them excited, which gets me excited, and then it just builds. So it's hard to beat that. That's why a lot of these wrestlers hang on and wrestle as long as they do because there's something about when those people are right there and they're that energy and they're making all that noise. Ooh, it's almost like a drug, baby. It's
Mhm.
almost like a drug, and it's hard to top that. But I'm still gonna put the 51% on me teaching my kids because there's just it's almost I don't know what it is. Almost like a father watching his kids do something, and that's one of those feelings. It's tough to top that.
So what's that feeling backstage before a match or before a show? What's going through your head?
Nothing. I'm usually acting a fool. I've ribbed somebody or I've said, I'm back there, I'm acting a fool, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm on. It's almost my time. I mean, where's my collection plate? And I got to get ready to go through the curtain. I don't, I've been doing this long enough. Like I told you earlier in my career, I've had so many matches, and I've been doing this long enough that I know exactly what I'm going to do and well, I take that back. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do when I go out there, but I know myself. So I don't have to think about anything. I'm not playing some role that I have to be prepared for to go through that curtain. I'm just me. So you drop me in any situation and you get Reverend Ronnie Roberts. That's just how it is. So a lot of people, you're right. I'm sure you've talked to them. They're prepared. They're okay. They're trying to psych themselves up and trying to get ready. Some guys listen to music. Some guys are oiling themselves up and all that stuff. Man, forget all that. I'm back there cutting up. I'm acting the fool to the point sometimes that I should probably charge the boys admissions because I'm putting on a heck of a show in the back when I go out there and do the same thing. So that's me, and I hope it doesn't sound too cocky or anything, but I have fun. I've learned to have fun with the wrestling business, and like I said, once you put your ego aside a bit, and don't get me wrong, in the wrestling business, we all have a little bit of an ego, but it doesn't control me anymore. So now it is so much more fun. I wish that I was mature enough to have done that earlier in my career, because I just have a blast. And then it's like, oh, I'm up. I go out there and I have a blast. And I come back to the back, dry off, still having a blast. So that's what I do. There's not much preparation. I go out there and I do my thing. Frustrating to some of the young wrestlers because they want to talk about it and they want to do whatever. I'm like, nah, what we need to talk about. We're good. Go do our thing.
So, what would you say is the hardest part of being a pro wrestler?
When you start traveling all the time, it's the travel. The car beats you up. So I'm more sore from a car ride than I am from a match. Um, and as I just mentioned, I left last Tuesday and didn't get home till about 10 o'clock Sunday night because I wrestled Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I ran my own show. Like I said, we have the training academy, and then we have a show once a month, and I ran my own show last Sunday. So by the time all that was over with, and I finally got home, it was 10 o'clock. I hadn't seen my kids and my girl in a week. That's the roughest part, and people will find wrestling is more mental. The physical, if you've played any kind of sports coming up, physically, it's fine. It's rough, don't get me wrong, but you'll be able to handle it. Not everybody's mentally cut out for professional wrestling. You have to be a mentally tough character. It's not for everybody. And I'm it's nowadays, like I said, it's a lot easier. You can go buy you some boots and go get some halfway trained and call yourself a pro wrestler. But if you actually want to make it and you want to make money doing it, you want this to be your living, you better be mentally tough. You have to learn how to take failure. You have to learn how to take the answer no. You have to learn how to bounce back from a bad performance. You have to learn how to not get too high from a good performance. You have to learn how to talk to people. You have to be sociable. You have to be kind to people. You can't be for lack of a better word, a prick all the time. And the mental game is the toughest part. Physically, if you were any kind of athlete, it's fine. I equate it to being like in the military. Like if you go through basic training, if you were any kind of athlete, it's whatever. But mentally is where guys get hung up. Um, so that's the hardest part. You have to be in a mental mindset to go out here to somehow be a team player and be selfish at the same time. Not the easiest thing to do.
Two more questions before I let you go, Mr. Ronnie Roberts. So, my first to last question is, what besides the travel, what else do you think is the hardest part? Is it the bumps, the bruises, the injuries? Can you talk a little bit about the injuries in pro wrestling?
Well, it's gonna hurt, no matter what. I always say when I get someone new coming in, the test is let's see if they catch an allergy to this mat. When you hit that mat so many times, and understand if you've ever seen what a wrestling ring is made of, it ain't not a whole lot of cushion there, a whole lot of metal and a whole lot of wood. Um, and that right there, that first thing, those taking a bump, as you said, most people won't make it past that stage.
Mm-hmm.
People, most people that I have come to attempt to train, they don't make it past that stage because it hurts and it's not natural. Um, so physically there, yeah. And then what's next? Gonna hit these ropes? Oh, you think those ropes are soft? Mm-mm. I can show you after this first day, guys and girls will have those 2 lines on their back, and it's just a big old bruise. All that is, it's either a rope that's real tight or a metal cable that's under there, and that don't feel good either. So between taking those back bumps and hitting those ropes, 90% of people who try are gonna fall off right then and there. So
Mhm.
there is, physically there is something to it. I don't want to poo-poo that side of it. I'm glad you asked that question again because I kind of made it sound like it was nothing. But a guy like me, I've played sports all my life. I've been, I was in the military and all that, so I've gone through so much physically that the physical part was nothing to me. But for the most part, yeah, people, and that's that. If you make it past all that and still get in there, understand that this is not ballet. We hit each other out there. We put each other in holds that really hurt. And so things happen sometimes. You get injured. Hopefully it's just a strain or a sprain or some kind of deep bruise, but oftentimes your nose broken. I don't know if you can really tell, my nose has been broken, in a long time. I got a big scar right here where a giant threw a chair at me and split me open. So I say a giant because he's 7 feet tall. Um, you know so the injuries it's a real thing. And then, like I said, I've been on the road. Say I get injured on Wednesday, well, I can go home, but guess what? If I go home, I'm not making any money. It's not like there's some kind of like, I don't have like any kind of separate package or downtime guarantee to where I can go home and be injured and still get paid. No, I got to suck it up and get ready for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, whatever. And so yeah, that's a rough one. That is a rough one. And too many times us as wrestlers, we're quote unquote too tough, and we want to go out there and keep wrestling while we're hurting, end up hurting ourselves even more, or hurting something different because we're compensating for a different injury. Um, so it takes. It goes back to the mind. It takes a smart guy to be able to deal with the injuries and still being able to work at the same time. If you use this, one, you're not going to get injured as much because you're going to wrestle smarter. And two, even if you do, you know how to work around it and be able to still maintain and still be able to put out something that people are going to want to see. But the injuries, hey, like I said, for those of you all listening, and y'all never seen what's underneath that canvas, there may be some kind of pretty design on that canvas. Those ropes might be shiny and nice colors or whatever, but they hurt. They hurt. And, I'll challenge anybody. Let me come in here and give you this body slam. And then people tell me, oh, wrestling's fake. Shh. Man, I wish you tell my back it was fake. I wish you tell my shoulders, my knee, because they don't know, apparently. They don't know that it's fake. So yeah, that's a real thing. And like I said, the car rides just exacerbate that. I hurt my back, and now I got to ride this car for 3 hours to get to the next town. Oh, how good do you think I'm going to feel by the time I get out of that car? You know? So yeah, physically it's demanding, and I take it for granted probably because, like I said, I've been physical and been an athlete my entire career, so it's not much. By the time I got into wrestling, I had already played football at a pretty high level. Like I said, been in the military and did this and that. So the bumping and stuff, it wasn't much. It hurt, but I was already used to playing with pain. But yeah, most people, it's rough. It's rough. Sorry, I know I went on a bit of a tangent there on that question. Uh,
That's all right, man. No problem. This is your time.
all
So,
right, baby, it's my time.
last question for you, Mr. Ronnie Roberts. What can we expect out of you the next 3 to 5 years?
Ooh, that's a good question right there. Are we video recording this, or is this gonna be audio?
Yes, sir. This is a video recording. Yes, sir.
Okay, so everybody that saw that smile that came on my face then. Okay. All right, man. I am one who I live in the moment. I try to live in the moment. I only worry about what's happening right now because if I take care of what's happening right now, the future will take care of itself. The future does not exist. The future is just a concept. Only thing that's real is right now in the present. That's the only thing that's happening. But with that said, I plan on spreading the good word around the world as much as possible. I've already started. Like I said, if you see me on OVW, you see me doing my thing. First thing I'm going to do is because I'm in a locker room with all these buff guys and everything, and even though I'm a wily veteran these days, and my cardio, I'm a cardio machine and I can leave anybody in the dust in the ring. They all look better than me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get my six pack back, just for all the haters out there. Go ahead and get my six pack back starting. I started last week. Started last week already. I'm gonna get my six pack back first and foremost physically, and then I'm just gonna go out there. My whole thing is, as long as I kill it every time I go through the curtain, everything else will take care of itself. I don't believe that the WWE is gonna have much interest in me, but all the other promotions probably will. So I'm just gonna keep grinding. I'm gonna keep preaching the good word, huh? I'm gonna keep giving the people what they want, giving the people what they need. And as long as I do that, everything will fall in line. As far as my training school, I want to eventually, hopefully in 5 years, I've had somebody who's really elevated themselves to the next level. And so now I can say, hey, look at Hollywood Haley J over there, doing her thing in AEW or WWE or something. She came to my school. This is where it's at, kind of thing. That's what I really want out of the kids. It doesn't have to be Hollywood AJ. It could be somebody else, but whoever it is elevated. I want to get these kids elevated in the next 5 years to where they're out there killing it and making money and doing this for their career. That's what I want for them. Um, like I said, as far as me, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. I'm gonna prove to everybody that I'm a bit of an ageless wonder. Doesn't matter how much gray is in my beard. I'm gonna go out there and outperform everybody. Everybody. I don't care who it is. And that's why I said you got to be a team player and selfish at the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna go yay OVW and do my thing to help elevate OVW. But at the same time, I want to be at the top. I want to be the best. I already feel like I'm the best, but I don't have any gold around my waist to prove it. So I'm gunning for the top of the top. And I'm gonna start at OVW. And then once I go somewhere else, guess what? It could be the NWA, huh? I'm aiming for the top. It could be Ring of Honor, huh? I'm aiming for the top. It could be AEW, and maybe, just maybe, since I am an ageless wonder, they might want me in WWE, and I'm aiming for the top because I got something. Because I got something that nobody else got. I got this brain right here. I have the wisdom of Solomon, and now, since I set my ego aside, I know how to use it. That makes me a dangerous man in the wrestling business, CJ. I'm a dangerous man, and I go out there and I prove it every week. No matter who I step into the ring with, the people remember when Ronnie Roberts has a segment on television. The people remember when we go to all these house shows around the state. They remember who I am. And as long as I keep doing that, brother, who knows exactly what the future holds? But I can tell you, it's going to hold many zeros in that bank account. And I know that's what it's all about. And as long as I can provide, and I'm not selfish. It's not like I want these zeros just so I can be Scrooge McDuck and swim through all my money, which is a funny visual. If I get a chance to do that, I will. But I got family to support. I got kids to feed. I got an old lady. I got a business to run. I got dreams. I want a bigger house with more land so I can plant crops and do all that, get my solar panels and all that. I have things I want my kids to be trust fund babies. That's what I want. I didn't discover until a few years ago that you didn't have to be rich to have a trust fund. I had no idea. So my whole thing is I got to go out here and do all this, make myself, put myself on the pedestal, make myself a superstar for my kids' sake. My whole mission in the next 5 years is to create generational wealth for my future ancestors, or I'll be the ancestor for my future generations. And so I know the whole money thing sounds selfish, but it's really for my family. So they can look up like, man, great grandpa Ronnie Roberts, man, he set us up. Look at us, we don't want for anything. That's what I really want. That's my goal in the next 5 years, whether it's commentating, whether it's ring announcing, whether I'm managing, whether I'm wrestling, maybe I'm in the back writing it, maybe I'm training it, maybe I'm just a promoter. I don't care what it is, or maybe all of the above. I'm going to try to use what I've been blessed with to get out there, make them dollar bills, y'all, and within the wrestling business so I can set my family up for generational wealth. And that's it. And if you believe that, can I get a yay man? Because that's what it's all about. It's taking care of our family.
Amen. So where can fans find Mr. Ronnie Roberts? Where can they follow you? Where can they find you on TV?
All right. OVW television. I know it's on Fight TV. Uh, I'm trying to think. There's so many in different places that's on in different hours. So check your local listings because it's on the regular TV as well. I think it's on the CW in Lexington, Kentucky. In Louisville, it's channel 21, maybe something like that. But check your local listings because we there. Uh, they put stuff on YouTube. Check out my Facebook. I'm Ronnie Roberts or the Triple R Superstar. Check me out on Twitter. It's at Ronnie Reverend. I had an old Twitter account. Don't follow that one. If you were following at 3R Superstar, I got locked out of that one. That's a shame. I had to start over because I had a bunch of followers. But so if you're listening, go follow me at Ronnie Reverend on Twitter because I need you to get back up. I need to get my followers back up. And I'm on Instagram, Ronnie_Roberts1. Other than that, that's it. Check your local wrestling flyer. You might see me on it. And I'm trying to come out there and put some good stuff on all my timelines to give people a reason to come check out my social media because I got to keep it real with you. I told you when I was looking to get in the wrestling business, we didn't have Google and the internet was just now popping off. So I'm not a big social media guy. I'm terrible at it, but I am trying. So I need y'all to support me, and so I can keep trying and pat me on the back, tell me I'm doing a good job, so I don't get discouraged.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ronnie Roberts, for joining us here tonight on the 5-Star Revolution podcast. Hopefully, all you listeners subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, 5-Star Revolution podcast. Mr. Ronnie,
5-Star Revolution podcast, baby, go follow them.
there you go, sir. Thank you so much for that plug. Mr. Ronnie Roberts, we wish you the best of luck in your career. I'll definitely check out OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, and good luck with everything in your career, mister.
CJ, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everybody who's out there listening. And the only thing I need from you and everybody out there listening before I go is, can I get a yay, man?
Amen! Take care, sir.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.